What's going on, my beautiful broken army? And welcome back to the vlog. You guys have been showing me a lot of love, and I just want to reciprocate it by keeping giving you what you guys are saying you like so much, which are the stories. Now, I admit I had said to myself, I'm gonna go back to regularly scheduled programming and not do stories all the time. But then I thought about it. This is regularly scheduled programming because this is how the elders taught. And it's so funny because so many people flock to Hoodoo because they let the marketeers get inside their brain meats and tell them, well, there's no initiations in Hoodoo. Because let's be honest, a lot of people come to Hoodoo because they went to Orisha and and the Orisha, traditions. Because I always say Orisha because you got what people call traditional, which is Yoruba, Nigerian Yoruba. You have Santeria or Lukumi. You've got Condomble. The Orisha everywhere. But one thing they have in common, besides the Orisha themselves, is initiations. And initiations cost money. And then people go to voodoo. Like, I want to be a mambo or hungan until they find out that that costs money. Same thing with Paulo Mayombe. And then they go, oh, well, there's no initiation in hoodoo. I can do that. People that are chasing titles, and we're going to get to that later, right? But I'm telling you, there's initiations in hoodoo. Being if you have never had your summer break sacrificed because you were tending to family business, or you at a barbecue and you want to go hang out with the cool cousins, the ones that go off, down somewhere and sit in the car, a smoky car for a bit. Can't hang with the cool cousins because you sitting with the old folks while they telling stories. And a lot of y'all like, I would love that. I would love just sit at their feet. Oh yeah, yeah. You going and pouring stuff out the jug into cups and stuff like that. So yeah, there's initiations. But anyway, I digress. This is how a lot of information was shared and taught and given. So I want to keep doing it that way. So I'm going to talk to you guys tonight and tell you a couple of stories about spiritual gatherings. But first, guys, there's still a few seats left for the upcoming webinar this upcoming Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be talking about the art of controlling and compelling through Hoodoo, the art of controlling others through Hoodoo. It's $10 via Cash App or Venmo. Make sure in the memo section of your payment that you include your email address. I'm going to email you the link. You register, and you will be able to get into the webinar. And if you are not able to make it live, have no fear. You will be able to go and watch the replay, including the Q&A that happens after the fact. Okay. And if you guys have sent your money, check your email. It's going to come from my email. So make sure you check your spam folder. If not, text me on the text line. I'll make sure you get that link out to you. But anyway, spiritual gatherings. These two stories that I'm going to tell you were actually not a hoodoo gathering per se, they were a Misa. If you're not familiar with that term, a Misa is it's a spiritual gathering for like the Orisha tradition. Some Palo houses do it. Espiritismo. It's like a spiritual mass. Basically, it's a seance. Basically, that's what it is. The Misa comes from the Allan Kardec. We're not going to get into all that. How it entered into an African traditional religion, we'll get into that some other time. But anyway, so basically, what you will have is a bunch of mediums or one medium will get together and a bunch of people will show up and people will light candles, puff cigars sometimes, and the spirit will come down and possess one or more of the mediums, whoever's present, and give messages. Now in hoodoo we had spiritual gatherings, but they weren't like this. Traditionally we call them tea parties, where like the worker would get together, will get there, and it'd be kind of like a church service, and the worker would prophesy to the people, give readings, stuff like that. Now, there are some older workers that would do what was called casket services. And casket casket services were just that. The root worker would lay down in the casket and prophesy to the people. Funny story. My dad told this one, but I'm gonna retell it. There was there was a time in Atlanta where there were the Atlanta prophets, and they would stand on the corners, or they would hold services, and they would give out numbers. So before the lottery, people were running numbers. They give out the lucky numbers to folks. The Atlanta Police Department decided they were going to stop the numbers, but they couldn't figure out where the people were too slick with it. So what they did was they decided, you know what, we will cut off the food supply. So we will go after the Atlanta prophets. There was one prophet named Prophet Eli, and Prophet Eli did the casket services. And so Prophet Eli, he had his casket service set up. He was in the room, in the coffin, supposedly in the spirit. He's in the coffin. He's in the spirit. And he's prophesying to the folks, and they just hanging off his every word. Well, in comes the police. And they walk up there and they look down at the casket, and there's Eli laying there. They say, Eli, come up out that casket. Now he's got his eyes closed. So Prophet Eli don't say nothing because he's in the spirit, see. And they said, Eli, this is Atlanta police. You better get up out that casket. Now, funny thing, the spirit left Eli then because Eli hopped up and went went on with him at that point. But there are a lot of services like that. I may do it. I ain't doing no casket service. If I gotta do a casket service, look here, we ain't having no service. But I may do a tea party at some point. But anyway, back to the Misas. So a an associate of mine at the time. Oh gosh, man, let me tell you. We're gonna start the first story. I had gone through like something traumatic, and your boy used to like hit the road at the drop of a dime. It was nothing. I was always on the go somewhere, but I had gone through something, and I just wanted to get away. So I called my associate. I'm like, man, I'm going through this. Blah, blah, blah. I just want to get away. What you got going on this weekend? He was like, nothing, but we can get into something. Come on down. So I said, bet. Hopped in the car. Little did I know that this person saw opportunity. Can't knock him. I had and still have a little bit of clout in the spiritual community. A little bit, just a little bit. And so he took me coming down as an opportunity for him to hop on the phone, like, hey, Papa Lou's coming down. Papa Lou's coming. He's coming down. Man, I'm trying to get a little rest and relaxation on, get my mind off of stuff. This joker done set up a spiritual circus. I mean, no lie, there was a hypnotist there. There was martial arts It was it was a mess. It was a mess. But there was a medium there also. And he was like, "Bro, don't worry." I was like, "Man, dude, like I'm trying to get my head right." And he was like, "Man, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's just people, don't worry. Hey, just talk to him a little bit. Do a few." I'm like, "Do a few readings." He's like, "I'll pay you." I said, "Run it." So, yeah, all right, I do a few readings. The hypnotist does no lie, there was a hypnotist there. Hypnotist does his thing. Um, and the medium decided to have an impromptu Misa. Now, I don't know proper Misa protocol. I personally don't like going to them. I don't. A lot of people do. I don't. I don't know proper Misa protocol, but the ones that I've gone to don't just happen. A Misa don't just happen. There's preparations and stuff like that. And I know when spirit is involved, you want to make sure there are certain precautions in place. Make sure things don't get out of hand. And out of hand they did. Um I did my readings. They did their thing. The medium starts, and I could tell it was bootleg. Not the medium, but my associate. I could tell it was bootleg from the beginning because there were no safeguards, there were no protections, protocols, nothing. It just happened. And I'm like, all right. I said to myself, I said, self. Self said, huh? I said, it's about to be some bull, you know. And self said, you ain't never lied. So the medium starts, and it had already become dark. And I was like, this person, my associate, was also a Palero. And I don't know if he had been tending to his pots the way he's supposed to. I don't know. I'm assuming yes, but I don't know. There were all these other people there that practice who knows what. So there's a lot of unknown spiritual energy that chose to manifest itself. And did I mention there was liquor there? I mean, I shouldn't have to. Y'all, I was there. Not new me, old me. I was there. So there was liquor involved. So the medium proceeds to get mounted by a spirit. If you don't know what mounting means, that's when the spirit, it's a benign form of possession. The spirit possesses you and talks to people. Spirit starts talking and talking. I'm not paying attention because I'm ready to go, but I'm having my sippy sip. Everything is cool, but it's not kosher or copacetic, if that's how you pronounce that word. I notice the room starts to get dark. No one has turned the lights off. No one has dimmed any candles, but the room is starting to get dark. And I notice the medium was getting run through like it was a spiritual train. One spirit would come, then leave. Then one other spirit would come, then leave. Then another spirit would come, then leave. And I'm like, that ain't good. That ain't good. So self says to me, we might need to leave. And I say, well, let's just see what happened. I should have listened to self at that point because one of the um one of the attendees who was in the spiritual community had brought a friend with her who was not. The friend just wanted to see. How about Miss I just want to see, I don't believe in none of this stuff. Spirit jumped on her tail. I mean, jumped on her tail. I mean, it was like The Exorcist. She's jumping around and hooping and hollering and speaking in tongues and all kinds of. It was. I was like, man, what is going on here? And I look at my associate. My associate was four sheets to the wind. That was the problem. See, when you host these events, especially in your home, that's the danger of just wanting a title. See, you can call yourself a Babalao or Santero, Santera, a Tata, a Yaya or Yai. You can call yourself a Mambo or Hungan, or in Hoodoo, Papa or Mama, whoever. Chase the title, call yourself what you want to call yourself, but the spirits expect that title to behave like that title. So if you don't know what you're doing, don't expect the spirits to cut you no slack because you're wearing the title, right? So the title wearer, the one whose house it was, the one who organized all this, the spirits were like, okay, where you at? You drunk as a skunk. So the spirits said, all right, Leroy, Craig, Eli, come on down. It's good down here. Spirits came down on that girl. She's picking up stuff, throwing stuff, and the people, and I'm sitting back. I'm like, I don't know what y'all about to do. But everybody in the room turned and looks at me. And I'm like, man, all right, okay. So I'm like, I need my trick bag. Now, one of the rules of a Misa is, the of the way some people do Misas, not everybody. But once the it has started, you don't leave. You don't break the seal of the door. So I'm like, my trick bag is out in the car because I brought it with me, of course. And I'm like, well, work what I got. Look around this house. I know he got some holy water and Florida water around here somewhere. Got me two sticks, made me a cross. And I said, all right, time to go to work. This is where I messed up. I said, but first, let me finish this drink. Now, I picked up a can here, but I didn't have a can at the time. I had a drink. Messed around and it slipped out my hands. Fell on the floor. Now, if anybody knows anything about spirituality, when glass breaks, that is a sign that something bad is about to happen. I should have listened because, but remember, I'd had me a couple of sips myself. I reached down to clean the glass, which I shouldn't have done. As I'm reaching down, something grabs my wrist, pulls my hand down, my finger. Here's what I found. Oh, Siri. Pulls my hand down. My finger goes right into a piece of glass that was sticking upwards. And I'm like, oh, pull the glass out, blood drops. Soon as my blood hit the floor, boom, it's like a doggone bomb went off in there. Spirits everywhere at this point. People shaking, and I'm like, oh God. Hey. So I'm doggone wrapping my hand up and like I don't even know. I think somebody had dropped a scarf or something, and I'm going around and the father's on the hose and clearing everybody, and I'm like, you know what? I'm out of here. They'll never ask me to come down here again. Y'all crazy? No, never, never again. But old girl left a believer at that point. She left a believer. So the moral to this story, because remember I said it's a blessing in every lesson, right? I went down there because my mind was on something else. One, I should have never left my trick bag in the car. Never. That's why I take it with me everywhere now. Two, I thought I was going to like a party. Not, you know what I mean? I didn't know it was gonna be all that. You know, I stepped in there, man. Your boy, I mean, you should have seen what I had. I was cleaner than the board of health. But what did I not have? Didn't have my mojo bag in my pocket. Didn't have my high John root. Didn't have alligator foot. And I could have avoided all that if I'd have just had. I don't know why it won't focus. I don't know why it won't focus, but there. My jet stone necklace. Any of these, any of these would have kept harmful spirits at bay. Any of them. So now the moral is if you go into something, I don't care how benign it may seem, make sure you have your spiritual protections. Make sure you have them. Guys, because one thing my grandmama told me a long time ago when it comes to tea parties, and ironically, an older priest in Palo Mayombe told me the same thing about Misas, because he didn't go to Misas. My grandma told me about tea parties. She's like, have you ever seen uh a healthy person go to hang out at the emergency room? I said, no, grandma, of course not. She said, right, only sick people go there. Same thing for a lot of these spiritual gatherings. Only sick people go there. That's where people go to get cleansed. The spirit comes down, it prophesies to folks, and it takes their burdens away. She said, but does the spirit get to everybody at these things? I said, no, some people, no, it doesn't. Because I had been to, it was, the spirit didn't talk to me. She said, right, but they still had burdens. What do you think happened to them? I said, they still got them. Exactly. Don't eat nothing at them places. Right, I don't. And the older priest had told me the same thing. People go to release their burdens. So shoot, you sitting there with a bunch of sick folks, no matter how joyous it may seem, because a lot of misas are like parties. A lot of spiritual gatherings, drummings or whatever, they're like parties. And people drink and they eat and they dance, but there's still a lot of cleansing that needs to be done. So you around a bunch of sick people. Now, story number two, same fella. Remember, I said I ain't never going back. Well, they say never says never. Never say never. He said, "Hey, I'm having a Misa. Would you like to come down?" And I said, "No." He said, "Oh, just come on down." And I was still in my traveling mode, so I said, "All right, well, cool. Go down there." And there was a lot of prominent people in the spiritual community. I will not name their names, but there were some very prominent folks in the spiritual community. Some of the people who written the books that y'all have read were there. And they're shaking my hand, I'm shaking theirs. But I learned my lesson. My hands were already dressed. Can't put nothing on your boy. And one of the mediums, the main medium, was someone that I highly respect. So I'm like, okay, cool. If he's there, it's gonna go according to plan. And I mean, the way he does his misas are awesome. He has his helper that comes with him. They have a briefcase that's got all his stuff in there. I mean, he comes is for spiritual business. No tomfoolery, no flim flammery, no skullduggery. He's just coming for business. So, the misa starts or whatever. And I'm like, all right, cool. One of the mediums, because there was three at the table. One of the mediums turns to me and is like, "Look, I'm having problems doing readings. Will you please tell your folks to back up a little bit?" And I'm like, I mean, but I said, "Sure, no problem, guys. Y'all step back, talking to my spirits." And they start the Misa rolling, and it's going well. But I noticed my associate again. Now nobody was drinking. This was everybody's dressed nice. This is a strictly spiritual thing. But I noticed he would tip off because it was at his house. He tip off to the bathroom, tip back, tip off to the bathroom, tip back. I'm like, dang, Joker peeing like a pound puppy. But he wasn't. No, he was not peeing. He was back there nipping. And once again, he gets three sheets to the winner. Remember what I told you is his house, his function. So who's responsible for the spirits? He is. What was he now? Drunk again. And so, and I never a medium, and this guy, he was good at what he does. I guess that's what everyone has said. Big old dude, big tall and big dude, got mounted by a female spirit. Man, let me tell you, ain't didn't nothing tickle me more than seeing this great big old dude tiptoe prancing. He's prancing around. They done given him a skirt because the spirit that possessed him wanted a skirt, and he's prancing around, talking all up high, giggling. I was like, what the man? It tickled me. I ain't even gonna lie. But then someone else got up that was possessed by a spirit. Now, these things will happen because, especially in the Latin American community, the ability to pass a spirit, meaning having the spirit come through you, is like it's like a thing, a big thing to them, right? So you will get a lot of people who will pump fake getting possessed. They ain't really. They pump fake. But I could tell these were legitimate possessions. And so one after another, I'm like, this don't normally happen like this. Normally it's a very controlled environment. It's just the people at the tables or whatever. But once again, here we go. Here we go. And that was the thing had lasted a while. And there was a lady who I guess she got hungry. And they had brought refreshments, and the refreshments were in the kitchen, supposed to be for after this thing. And I guess she said, "Look, this thing done went on long enough." So she done went and started eating. And then somebody else started eating. And then somebody opened the back door. Remember, I told you normally you do not open the doors until the thing is over and the table has excused everyone. But no, why they do that? Open the door once again, the same thing. Everything got dark, spirits everywhere. Now this time, I'm just like, you know what? The door open, I'm leaving. And so I start to make my exit. But I hear the commotion on the inside. The dude that I respect had got mounted by a Congo spirit and he's beating his chest. And I'm like, man, y'all do too much. Y'all do too much. And so my associate comes out and he's gone. I mean, he is gone. Can't hardly see straight. I mean, he's cockeyed. You drink so much you get cock. He was cockeyed, and he was like, "Oh, what are we gonna do?" And I'm like, "We." I don't know when you started speaking French. Ain't no we in this. I told you. I told you. I'm out. I am out. Goodbye. Y'all handle it. You got enough mediums in there that eventually one of them will get turned loose and will help you with this. I'm gone. So while we are arguing this, his goddaughter gets mounted right there by us. I mean, she just kneels down right there and just starts hugging herself. I want peace. I want peace. And at that point, I didn't know if she was getting mounted or whether just something just done happened to her. That's all she was saying. I want peace. I want peace. And I'm like, well, dang, sister, we all do, you know. So what I did, I said, you know what? Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. So I opened up the door where his Palo pots were. Open up the door, lit a candle, and I said, what's gonna be is gonna be. Well, the spirits heard me because one by one, the people that were in the house start crawling out on their hands and knees to the door to the shed where his Palo things were. They go, bow, and then fall over. One by one. It's the darndest thing I'd ever seen. So, apparently his pops were like, dude, you just done lost control again, talking to him. And we just gonna clean this up for you. At one point, I mean, they just crawl up, fall over, crawl up, fall over, crawl up, fall over. One lady comes and, coming out of his house, there are like 2 steps onto the carport. She comes slithering out like a snake, and dude looks down at her is like, "Who the F is that?" He wasn't talking about the purse, he's talking about what spirit is that? And I'm like, "Man, I don't know." Slithered around, Miss I Want Peace, and went to the door, and she fell over. And then finally, that was it. Everybody fell over, woke up, and tried to act like wasn't nothing going on, and they was all hungry. And I said, "You know what? I'm gone. That's it." And I don't have I been to a Misa since? I think I've gone to one. I think I've gone to one. So, guys, always take your protections. If you're gonna take anything, take you a high John root and a necklace that'll keep the things off of you. Notice none of that stuff was touching me, but it was swirling around me. And man, I will say I felt it on the way home, on the drive home. It's on I forgot how many hours it was, but I made it to I think I was like 2 hours from home, and I had to just stop and I got a hotel room and because I had the bubble guts the entire way up there. So be careful going to these spiritual gatherings. Make sure that they are hosted by someone who will maintain control of these things and always have your protections on you because you never know. Take you some Florida water, holy water, or rainwater. Cleanse yourself afterwards. And please, please, please also cleanse your vehicle because if something's going to touch you, it will touch your car. Some of y'all car break down for no reason because y'all dabbling and all y'all trying all these workings, attracting all this energy. You cleaning yourself, you're cleaning your house, you're not cleaning your car. That's why your car just breaking down for no reason. All right. But that's it, guys. Make sure you sign up for the webinar. It's only $10 to help to support the Hoodoo community down here and allow me to push more content and teachings out to y'all. All right. Thank y'all so much again. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And podcast launching soon. So make sure you check for the link in the community tab. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. Profit out.